Hello everyone, I have here the LEGO Icons Tranquil Garden set. This has 1,363 pieces, and I had a wonderful time building it live in front of all the community over on my Twitch channel. This cost me $110 US, and we'll talk about price and value after looking at the details. Fully built, the width of the base here is 32 centimeters or over a foot, over 12 inches. And it is wider than a normal base plate, though not quite as deep. I will bring a minifigure in here in just a minute, just to show you the scale. This is not quite minifigure scale. It's a little bit smaller than minifigure scale, but only a little bit. Honestly, you can definitely bring a minifigure into this space if you want to, or multiple of them, and they will look close enough to at home where you're not going to feel like it really should be set up for microfigs and definitely not nanofigs. The water space here is built up just like the Ninjago City waterways are, but minus the raw sewage being dumped into it, as is canonical in Ninjago City markets. This has some koi tiles, thanks to, I believe it was Slugbiker in the Twitch stream when I was building this, who looked up the parts and realized that they're actually new prints, very, very slightly different, mirrored and with very slightly different details than the first generation of koi tiles that we got before. There's also a newer build for the lily flower there with the minions hairpiece in the center, a little funky piece in the Keat orange or flame yellowish orange colored or recolor to it, and the nice kind of open crown cracked egg, large cracked egg piece around the side to represent the petals and sepals. It's really nice. Got a little stone pathway here, so the idea is that you would walk through here. And I'll go ahead and bring in a random minifigure to, oh, he doesn't really want to be here. Oh no, he just wants to lay down. It just makes him feel so serene to be in this place. That's what it is. I get it. Yeah, I mean, look at that. It definitely feels at home. Just makes the plants feel a little bit smaller, but I think it totally works. Nice, simple design for an evergreen tree here, using the dark green version of the fern leaf, which is a relatively new part. And these are also not too old themselves and look pretty good here in the dark green. This is probably my favorite tree of the ones that have been built up here. My favorite piece of foliage probably, or clump of foliage, because the tree just looks very organic to me as a deciduous tree. Very few pieces are used for it, but I think it's really a good use of a small number of parts to create a very believable effect. The man-made instruments around here, or implements around here, look pretty good and are nicely scaled relative to another. This right here, this pagoda corner bit, of course, is a new piece that's just been introduced, and it's included in two colors. In this set over here, you have some bamboo, so just a few slightly different builds for the different stalks of bamboo, and a nice small arched bridge, which again, you can put a minifigure on. Now, it does make the minifigure look a bit large. You know, it's kind of like a mini land sort of thing, miniature fairyland sort of thing. And they don't have studs on there or a nice flat spot at the top. So you can kind of balance a figure or get it to hold on to the handrail, but that's about the limit of it there. Back here, I'm going to have to extricate this guy. A couple of sakura trees. Now, these are extra tall, a little bit limby, a little bit sparse, but not too bad. You know, not the most traditional style of what you would expect to see, I guess, stylized in art or in models, and you know, just general artful representations of this type of tree. I usually don't see them made so tall. I usually see them a little bit lower or more rounded and clumpy. But two different builds here. So this one has kind of a second trunk that it's forming. At the base, you can bend all these around in different ways to get them to be angled slightly differently without pulling that off. Each of the boughs, each of the clumps of foliage is built exactly the same all the way through. I think it was 17 of those, so you don't have different designs. But of course, you can modify that a little bit, but I think there is enough variety implied within that shape. It's not too it's not too symmetrical within itself. And then again, you can re-angle these things around quite a bit. And I like the shape of this right here. It's a little bit flimsy the way it sits in there. I'll show you what that's about in just a minute as well. But I like the shape of this trunk here, even though there's some areas where you can see some parts, like the Technic bit right there in gray is not the best thing. The other side of this trunk piece is hollow as well. Not the best thing to look at, but it's not too bad. I like the overall shaping of it. I just wish that there were more branches on this in general. The tea house here has a beautiful approach to it. Got to be a little bit careful when building this. Just pay attention to the steps a little bit, but a really nice set of steps, and then the whole thing is off grid in a really nice way. It's just on the 3, 4, 5 square, excuse me, 3, 4, 5 triangle angle, but it works out really, really well here. And everything just fits perfectly. You have to be a little bit careful in your alignment, but the instructions are good here. There's no confusion involved. And this has a nice level of detail, nice colors. I like the significant use of the dark orange. I think that was a good idea. And then here for the roof, you have the dark brown color used, including for the modified tiles with only 2 studs on them. Those are shiny, obviously much more shiny than the traditional sloped roof pieces, which have a nice texture on them. So there's a little bit of contrast there. I actually don't mind that, because I can just imagine that in the real thing that this represents, there's a different type of timber that's used for the edge detail here, and it's probably finished up differently with a different level of level of surface texture, and probably a different like varnish and shellac used on it. But then the corner bits, the pagoda tiles, as folks are calling them now, here in this context, these are the shiniest bits. They're much shinier. They're a little bit shinier than the modified tiles here, and then significantly more so than here. So it looks like we've got a little bit of 3 different textures. Now this is a tea house, and incidentally, you can put a minifigure here. Like a minifigure can go all the way in here. And again, this just shows you how close to minifig compatible scale this is. However, there's not enough room for a minifigure to walk around the balcony. There's an implied balcony around the edge of this, but it's only a half of a stud deep, the distance between this corner fencing here and the actual outside wall of the building. So you can't put anybody inside of there, but I think that it has a good effect. I think that it gives you a good amount of depth, and I feel like it's appropriate to this. Not everything needs to be catered to minifigs specifically, especially when that wasn't the original idea, but the ability to just pull all of this off so simply, so easily is nice, and the build of this didn't take too long either. Inside, a full tea ceremony tray has been set up here, and this is pretty perfect. You got your water kettle, you got the 2 tea cups, got the whisk that's been recolored into tan to represent bamboo style of whisk. The mixer right here as well. Forget what I guess this is just used for spooning the tea leaves, if I recall correctly. I might be wrong on that, but like this is a really, really nice layout. Just a nice setup. Really simple, but I like it. And these represent just slippers here. And generally, I'd say nothing in this feels bad to me in terms of its texture, its final look, the overall spacing. The build experience for this was good. It felt like it had a good pacing to it, where I didn't feel like I was getting bogged down at any point. It just felt very comfortable actually putting this together. So this one I feel is nice and consistent all the way through, from the time that you open the box to the time that you put the last piece on. It feels peaceful, as much as I could ask for. And that's not just because of the name. There's no hidden psychological effect going on there, and I'm not trying to make a connection. I'm just telling you my experience with this was very good, even though I was doing it on stream with a lot of people there. There was a lot of chat interaction and everything. All of it, just everybody was feeling good. It definitely has a good effect. So I think there's more value here than just the amount of plastic. And as you saw there for a second, this also has feet underneath, plenty of them, so it's not going to bow under weight and pressure, just pushing tiles down, make sure everything's nice and flat. And these have rubber tires on them, so it's not moving anywhere. It's good static friction against the ground. Here are the leftover pieces, and there are some nice new and or rare recolors in there. All right, normally this is when I get right into a talk about the different prices in different regions and also what I think about value. But first, I need to show you the main feature that Lego, I think, has really undersold with this set. And that is the configurability of it, the reconfigurability of it. They show you these little modules. This is the reason for some of these things being kind of loose. They show you a picture with those. They don't really underscore just the power of that and how much value you can get, I believe, as an owner by simply moving these things around and having the ability to move them around very easily. Now, these two don't want to stand up on their own, but I can just put this like over here and start, just kind of doing my own thing. If I really like seeing the sakura trees, if I really like this shape right here, I want it front and center, I can just put it front and center. I told you that I like this particular tree, like what it looks like, but I'd probably like to see it a little bit more from the side. Just turn it around like that. Put this back in the back maybe. That's a little bit too cluttered back there. Yeah, I'll put this here, put this one over there. Very much changes the feeling of this very quickly. Changes the balance of it significantly. Now maybe it looks better from this side. What do you think? Maybe I want to split these up a little bit more. I still want to see this. I just knocked off one of the boughs here, but that's okay. Still want to see this because I like its shapes a lot, but I want it to be, let's say, over on the side. Can do like so. I still like seeing this little one, this little smaller branch here. And then I can bring this that I like personally closer to me. Bring this off to the side. No, a little bit too much of the dark green on this side over here. So I'm just gonna swap in the bamboo. Yeah, I like seeing the bamboo. It has a different color to it and a different texture. And having the evergreen back in the corner feels a little bit better to me personally. Yeah. I'm feeling this. You can spend a significant amount of time, honestly, doing that, just moving the things around. There's a lot of value, I think, in that, because it's an additional cathartic building experience, and it's so easy. It doesn't require going to Rebrickable and buying somebody's instruction set and then buying possibly some extra parts that might be needed to create a semi-custom, or taking your whole set apart to then build somebody else's design. This is using what Lego gives you and just making it more personal. And it's easy, and it feels natural, and it feels right. I would love for there to be more modules here. I would love for there to also be a couple of blank plugs. So if I wanted to leave this out entirely, it's just not working for me, or I just feel like I want this to be a little bit more sparse. Let's go ahead and bring this right over here. Yeah. Now, let's try it. Let's try that. Rotate this one around. Get it out of the way just a little bit. Yeah, open things up here in the middle. Now I have one spot where I just don't want to have anything. I don't want to have anything right there right now. So if just a handful of additional pieces had been included to give us just two, I think two would have been the right number, the appropriate number of these green plugs to just sit in there, maybe with obviously a little bit of texture on top to make sure you could still pull it out, so it wouldn't get lost in there forever. You wouldn't have to turn the thing upside down. That would be significantly better. They also intend for these little topiaries, little miniature, I don't know if they're juniper or cypress, whatever they're supposed to represent, for those to be moved around easily. So if you just wanted to toss one of those in there, just do so. They do have fezzes for the bottom, which allows them to have less than standard clutch power. They actually are easier to move around. I really feel like this adds so much more value to the thing beyond just the initial build experience. That is Lego done right. I talk about this a lot, and I've talked about this for many years. Systems within the system. Lego itself, with the brick-based building system, is a system. I just said it. But they can have modular systems within that as well. They're starting to bring that into City with the the cars and trucks and things that have modular ends that you can change out a little bit and swap between them. They're trying this 8x8 and 8x16 module for stackable sections in city and in Friends for major structures for houses and buildings and things. And then this is another option there. They could easily keep that exact same size of plug and use it again in another set. As long as the colors are somewhat compatible, you could swap these back and forth between multiple sets. Now, they don't have to do that. They don't need to keep it completely consistent all the way across, but they could create an ecosystem. However, what is right here alone, I think is already very, very good personally. So this cost me $110 US. It's 109 euros, 105 euros, 95 pounds UK, and I think it's $140 Canadian, which is approximately $105 US. For the number of pieces that are here, for the mass of plastic, and for the amount of time that goes into the build, I feel like that feels fair. However, for this amount of stuff that I'm looking at in front of me, honestly, some folks are not going to like me for this. I would love for this to be like $75. That's not fair. That's not reasonable. But that's what I would like. That's the number that I came to. I would be comfortable, subjectively, with this being $75. That said, again, definitely unreasonable, especially when you consider how much goes into the base. Not just the edges. There's not a whole lot of waste here with the edge. The box here, the bonsai pot of sorts. There's not that much waste here. A lot of people like to jump on that and say, "Oh, they're scamming us. Lego's scamming us by forcing us to buy all these additional parts." No, it's part of the design. Cost of the set is always set, almost always set before the design is actually done. That's how they work. The designers have to work to a budget that they are given. But yeah, there's not a whole lot of waste here. However, there is a lot of mass that goes into the base terrain, the actual useful terrain, the stuff that you actually can see, the stuff that you can actually benefit from, with the layers used for the water, the layers used for the nice mossy or grassy terrain as well, the rock work under here, and you can feel it. I can feel it here in person, and that's worth something as well. It's worth more than the volume of stuff looks like at first glance. So I would give it then $89.99, $90. Yeah, that feels expensive to me, but I feel like mentally I can justify it. My right and left brain halves are both agreeing to compromise there at $90 US. So this is a little ways out from what I personally expect, but if you look at this, you like it, you think that it's a good deal for you, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. If you already think that this is good based on everything that you have seen and it's a fair price, I think you'll like it more once you get it. I think it has that sort of effect. If you think it's too pricey right now, you don't need to get it. And there's some possibility that this will be available down the line, closer to its retirement at a reduced price. I don't expect it to go on sale anytime soon. Those are my overall thoughts, including a little bit of extra exploration into it. Hope that was a useful extra use of your time and extra length of the video. And I feel like I always do my videos longer than I want them to be. The stuff is not scripted. If I did script it, I could probably make it shorter, but it wouldn't be as organic. It wouldn't be as much me. This is how I do things. I like to just talk to you from the hip, shoot from the hip, and or from the heart, and usually from the brain quite a lot. I hope that's of value to you. Thank you very much for watching. Whether you agree or disagree with my subjective opinions about this, I hope that you've gotten some value out of the video, and I hope to talk to you again very soon. Bye for now.